What's up guys, Deflne Live here, and I've gotten a lot of questions on stream concerning Duo ToB, and in particular Duo Nylo, so I figured now was a perfect time to create a guide on it. I spent a couple of months really trying to learn and improve my own ToB skills, and hopefully the tips and tricks shown in this video will also help you guys as well. This video does branch off of the ideas shown in my other videos, and while everything you'll need to know about Duo ToB will be included here, it does help if you already have an understanding about advanced ToB mechanics as well as the Nylo room. If you enjoy content like this, please do hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to the channel for more future content. And I also stream live on twitch.tv/DeflineAlive, so feel free to come hang out and ask any questions directly that may come up after watching this. But without further ado, let's get right into it. These are two example setups for Duo ToB, one for the Mage and one for the range. As a Mage, you should be bringing a Dragon Warhammer as well as a Serp Helm, as this allows you to kill the purple Nylo during Verzik. A 5-way freezing setup is chosen so that when you pray Augury, you will have 100% freeze chance on the crabs during Maiden. The Kodai wand is nice for increased max hits when barraging, but can be substituted out for soul runes if you would like more inventory space. The Dragon Claws are nice for skipping Verzik P2 when low HP, although this can also be substituted out for more supplies as well. The Guthix Rest is optional but highly recommended in order to Tiki Bloat Stomps, Bloat Flies, as well as a Sote Seg Death Ball. The Swiftblade is the chosen melee weapon during Nylo. 2 Divine Super Combats are brought so that you may always stay 118 during the raid. However, you may opt for 1 Divine and 2 regular combat potions if you plan on brew super combating. In your rune pouch should be Deaths, Bloods, and Souls, and you should be on the Ancient Spellbook. As the Ranger, you will also want to bring a Serp Helm as well as a Dragon Warhammer and a BGS. The BGS allows you to get NPC's defense down to 0. A 2-way mage switch is plenty, as you will only need it during the Nylo room. The Dragon Claws are again useful for skipping Verzik P2, but can be substituted out for other supplies. The Swiftblade is the chosen melee weapon during Nylo. Black Chinchampas allow you to kill Maiden Clump faster, as well as kill multiple ranged Nylos in the Nylo room. The Guthix Rest again is highly useful, but not required. 2 Divine Super Combat Potions allow you to stay 118 throughout the raid, although more regular Super Combat Potions can be brought if desired. In your rune pouch should be Death, Mud, and Astral runes, and you should be on the Lunar Spellbook in order to cast the Vengeance spell as well as Potshare. The party plugin is very useful for Theater of Blood, as it will show you all of your teammates' specs on the bosses during the raid. This makes it very easy to determine what defense level you are dealing with. In order to enable this, you will need to first enable the Discord and party plugins on the official RuneLite client. From there, go to Discord and under the Game Activity tab, make sure to add RuneLite as a game. If done correctly, it should say Playing RuneLite with a white box underneath your name. In order to create a party, have other players click your name and click the Ask to Join button. You will be prompted with a message saying they want to join your party. Click Yeah, and they will be given a prompt to launch the game and join. Once that is done, you should see their name in-game. At Maiden, Scythe at 118 stats and an Infernal Cape is the best DPS. If you are ranging, Blowpipe is better if you hit at least 2 Warhammers and at least 52 BGS, otherwise T-Bow is superior. As a Mage, you will want to dump both Warhammer specs at the beginning of the fight. Repot anytime you are 108 range or below. Since you are responsible for freezing all of the crabs at Maiden, your priority is as follows: South over North over Clump. take note that you will not be able to clump S2 in the pile if you have a 3 and a 4 to freeze. Once the clump is established, make sure to send 1 extra blood barrage in order to get a little bit of HP back, as well as kill the clump faster. From there, blowpipe any lone crabs that were not frozen in the clump. As a range, you will want to Warhammer until at least 2 total are hit on the boss, and any additional specs should be used on the BGS. Repot at 108 range or 117 melee if you are scything. If you're scything and you're also the one that's tanking, make sure to swap to your blowpipe assuming you have dragon darts so that she will not reduce your melee stats. Ideally, you want to T-bow for the proc so that you're able to switch to your blowpipe and hit any crabs that the mage is not able to freeze. Once the clump is established, use chins on the pile if there are more than 2 crabs. So this is an example of a duo maiden. We open with T-bow hits and then I go immediately into Dragon Warhammer specs. I miss the first one, but I hit the second one. From there, because I only hit 1, my partner then Warhammers misses his first but hits a second. Since we didn't hit any BGS specs, a T-bow is better DPS than blowpipe, and I'm not choosing to scythe as my melee stats got drained. 70s are about to come up, so I do 1 last T-bow hit, switch my gear, and put on augury. Since there is both S1 and S2, I'm not able to get the north one, so I let my partner hit it, and I wait for 4 to come down. I do 1 extra blood barrage, and then I kill the crab that's outside of the pile. Since I'm at 108 range, I use a dose of range pot here. My partner is casting Venge on me and also poturing restores as well. Here 50 is about to proc, so I go into my mage gear, put on augury. It's S2 and N2, so I'm able to catch both of them, as well as freeze the clump. Again, south is always my priority first over north. After 1 more blood barrage, I blowpipe the lone crab. Again, here I got drained to 108 range, so I use another dose of range pot. During this entire fight, we are ignoring the blood spawn. 30 is about to proc, so I do 1 last T-bow hit, switch to my mage gear, put on augury, and look on the south over the north. Since there's nothing on the south here, I freeze the north, do a Sang hit for a little bit of extra DPS, and then freeze the pile. I do 1 extra blood barrage for HP, and then T-bow here before switching into my melee gear. Before every one of Maiden's attacks, I switch to my blowpipe so that she does not reduce my melee stats. I step away here so that my partner can tank a hit. And there you have it. The average duo bloat should be a 3 down, and the following tips should help you achieve that. On your first hit inside the room, you should open with your Chali, as this gives you the best chance to get a 3 down. Also, on your final hit of each down, also end with a Chali. When you see the opportunity to rise, either tank the stomp for extra hits if he's in a corner, or dodge the stomp and tank a few flies, as this will also increase your DPS. I would highly advise you check out the MVP guide, as I go very in depth as to where and when you can go for extra hits by dodging the stomp, and where you have to tank the stomp in order to achieve that. Also, I would recommend conserving your run energy either by clicking 1 tile at a time or control running, as it's not uncommon to run out of run right at the end of the fight or somewhere in the middle. As soon as Bloat goes down, both me and my partner open the Charlie. I noticed that it's pretty easy to avoid the stomp and also get an extra Charlie hit here. And so I will wait until he wakes up and then go for a Charlie. Both me and my partner do this. And so we only take 2 flies, which is not bad at all. From here, he's going to start running. And so as you notice, I'm trying to click 1 to 2 tiles at a time. And this will make it so I don't use up all my run energy. On the corners, I'm going to click 2 tiles. That allows you to move around it a little bit quicker. And prey range if you think you're going to take a fly. Here, I know I can run through, and so I will opt to do so. I will dodge the stomp here. My partner will end up tanking it. I will run through, and he eats up, which is a very, very smart play right there. 24% is pretty doable, especially in a duo, and so this should be a relatively easy 3-down. Again, I'm going to try to conserve red energy, but since I know that there's a good chance we're going to get 3-down, I'm just trying my best to dodge the hands and not take any flies. %11% is a little bit high, so I opt to go for one more scythe hit. And then, yeah, we Charlie on the final hit there and get the 3-down. I'm going to choose to decant this resource since I use a dose at Maiden, and I will opt to buy a prayer pot here, as it'll be very useful for the Nylo room. The Nylo room is by far the most difficult room when it comes to duos and is where most people will struggle. I will be showcasing the Mage point of view for you guys, and I am honored to have my good friend Boas, who is one of the best raiders and one of the best rangers as well in-game, showcase the range point of view to help you guys out. As a mage, I opt to use a 4-way switch when I melee, along with camping piety throughout the room. You don't really need to use augury, as the crabs are all 1 defense and you don't need the accuracy to hit them. You want to prioritize the aggros immediately, as this is where most of your damage will come from. In order of what you should prioritize is mage clumps that you can barrage over scythable grouped melees, over a single melee, over a single mage. I also advise barraging on what are known as Heem tiles, and these are tiles basically that when you barrage on them, they wrap around the corner, but if you barrage the other corner, they will not wrap around to the Heem tiles. At the end, I would also refrain from mass barraging, as this will make your cleanup slower. But if you need to barrage the pillars to keep them alive, that's obviously better than having them fall. As a ranger, your primary focus should be on range and only really melee if there aren't rangers around. A 5-way switch along with piety is ideal. Similar to the mage, you will want to use chins on the Heem tiles, as this basically allows you to hit 3 tiles with your chins. I encourage you guys to memorize the pre-fires and the flashers, as a lot of these Nylos become aggressives inside the room, and the more that you can kill them before they enter, the smoother your Nylo room will be and the less damage you guys should take overall. If you guys aren't familiar with the pre-fires and the flashers, or just Nylo waves in general, I do encourage you guys to watch the Nylo guide that I did with my good friend Luke, which will be linked below in the description, as we go in depth and he points out exactly what the pre-fires and the flashes are. Again, maintaining DPS as a ranger is very important in order to pass this room. I also encourage you guys to blow pipe spec for HP when needed, and the earlier you can do it, the better, so that you can start regenning throughout the fight. And even if you're relatively healthy, such as 80 or 85 HP, it's still useful to blow pipe for even that amount of HP. The important thing to remember about Nylo is practice will make perfect, and the more you do this, the more comfortable that you will be in your role and also with your partner as well. So don't get discouraged. It is tough, but it is definitely beatable as well. Before you enter the room, your ranger should pot share a stamina dose, and you should use your imbued heart and then trade it over to the range so that he may use it before the boss fights. Again, I encourage you guys to camp Piety, as well as your Serp Helm, your Vernic Defender, and your Primordial Boots. The foray that you should be doing is a Swift Blade, Bandos Chestplate, Amulet of Torture, and your Ferocious Gloves. And you should also make sure that you used a dose of Divine Super Combat as well. The purple tiles that you see inside the room are the Heem tiles, and this is where, as much as you can, you should try to barrage and throw chins on these tiles, particularly towards the later waves. Also, I don't really focus any of the big Nylos that are on the pillars, as you should almost always have smalls that you can deal with instead. This makes it so that you don't spawn more Nylos into the room and potentially stall it. So right there I used a Heem towel and it wrapped around to the other Nylo on that pillar. And then I'm just trying to kill as many of the small ones as I can during this part. You don't really need to worry about the big ones if they're not an aggro, as you should have more than enough small ones to be able to kill during this time. That east one is an aggro, so I kill it immediately. And then that south flasher also becomes an aggro. So once I kill that, I barrage this pillar, as there's a lot of mages. Here I like to go barrage the double west into Scythe, the double south, followed by a Swift Blade attack to a random melee, followed by another Scythe to double south, and then hit the east melee, followed by the flasher south, and then the mage aggro south as well. From here, I'll cast the barrage on just a pillar that I see with a lot of mages. Here, I would also advise praying melee, as most of the aggros that come in will be melee. Once you clear the aggros, you can kind of barrage your pillars and try to kill any clumped mages. That mage I know is an aggro, so once I kill that, I pray mage, as the only aggros that will come in from here will be mage based. So here, I'm continuing to freeze and just trying to kill mages that I find. Anytime that you see a mage aggro in the middle, you should target that. So I kill that one to the east, end up barraging that Heem towel, which ends up killing a lot of mages. I kill this aggro to the east, this big one, which is the last aggro inside the room. And now I'm just trying to barrage clumps of mages and kill single melees. That's also another use of Heem tile, so they are very, very useful for this room. And there you have it, a mage point of view for the Nylo room. This is Boas's part. and I'm just going to let the clip play, and hopefully you guys learn a lot if you just want to see an example clip when it comes to the Ranger. For Sote Strategy, you should spec as follow. On P1, both players should use a Dragon Warhammer spec. If you miss both specs, then only have one person spec again. On P2, if you hit both your specs on P1 and you've hit a spec on P2, then you should have one person save for P3. On P3, you should Warhammer spec if Sote Strategy is above 15%, otherwise use your Dragon Claw. A tip that you can use if you hit 0 or 1 spec on Sote Strategy is if the death ball is close to when you are about to proc the maze, you can delay it in order to skip the ball. If you brought Guthix Rest into the raid, you can use it to boost your HP above 22, as this is the max hit of the melee through prayer, as well as use it to tiki the death ball. So this is an example of a duo Sote Strategy fight. Upon entry, we will both send one Warhammer. I end up missing. My partner ends up missing, so then I will send another one. Regardless of whether I hit or miss, my partner will save for P2. You can camp pray Mage here if you want, or if you want to flick Sote Strategy, you can just put on pray melee until he lowers his head, signaling his next attack, in which case you can then flick to the appropriate prayer. So we were not able to null the death ball there, but that's okay. So here I won't have spec, so it's up to my partner to spec, as he will be the only one that will have enough. Here I am under 45 HP, which is the max hit of his melee, so if I were not to flick pray melee, then I would just flinch his attacks. Since I am flicking melee, I can do this until 22 HP. Here we opt to delay the death ball, as we know it's coming soon. So we off it just before the maze and then end up skipping it. A trick if you want to run the maze faster is have destination tile highlighted, and basically when you see the destination tile go away, you are free to click on the next tile. So here I'm at 22 HP. I could sip a Guthic Rest here and stand in melee range if I wanted to, but my partner is also low HP as well, and so it's going to be a little bit harder to delay the ball. But that is something that you can do in this spot. A tip if you want to tiki the ball, like my partner did just there, is as soon as he sends a ball out, he will do 2 melee attacks. As soon as he lowers his head on that second melee attack, that's your cue to tiki. I trade over my range pot, my partner, and he trades me the Imbued Heart that I traded at Nylo. You can also opt to trade the range pot at the bloat chest as well, and that'll give you another inventory space for a shark or a potato in case things get a little bit messy. With this envy, I go in with 3 restores and 3 brews. If you have more space, I would advise taking 4 brews. It's also nice if you can have the ranger pot show you a stam before going into Xarpus as well. Xarpus will start spitting 10 ticks upon waking and then every 4 ticks after. There are 2 methods that you can do with a scythe. 5 tick and 5.3 tick. The 5 tick method is higher DPS, but it requires you to be on the same attack cycle as your partner, and if you mess up, it can result in a lot of rag damage. The 5.3 tick method is a lot easier, but it's also lower DPS as well. If you're not familiar with how to melee Xarpus in general, I do have a section in my MVP guide that explains both, so would highly recommend checking it out before attempting this room. In order to start the 5 tick method, you will want your mage to do 2 warhammers and then run to your designated tile. For us, it will be the southwest corner. From there, you want to do 2 scythe hits, and then you are on the null hit of the scythe in which you want to rag. For your ranger, you start with 2 scythes, and then do 1 warhammer, rag the tile that you start on, which for us is the south middle tile, right up front on Xarpus. You will then meet your partner, wherever you start. For us, it'll be the southwest tile. You will then do your second spec. If you hit all of your hammers, then you will want to use your BGS here. If you hit under 2 warhammers, then you will definitely want to send another warhammer. After you do your spec, you will be on the rag hit of the scythe, and you will be in tick with your partner. If you ever get off tick with your partner, there are 2 things that you can do to try to fix it. 1, you can claw scratch if you are a cycle ahead of your partner. The other thing you can do is switch to the 5.3 tick method, and I will be showing examples of both. In order to start the 5.3 tick method, you want to have a designated starting tile. For me and my partner, we usually start southeast. You will want to do 1 scythe and a 1 warhammer, run back, and then send another warhammer. Your range will start with 2 scythes, run back, and once your partner has done both of his specs, you will decide to either warhammer if you haven't hit at least 2, or you can BGS with any extra specs. So this is the Duo 5 tick method. When he wakes up, I immediately send both warhammer specs, and then run to the southwest tile, and then do 1 scythe hit, 2 scythe hit, and then we're on the rag. From here, assuming we did the start correctly, we should be on the same cycle, and you can tell that because you should be swinging your scythe at the same time. So every 4 hits, you will want to rag a tile, either a corner tile or a middle tile. It's also nice if you and your partner can come up with a method of where you're going to rag, or just be in call for this. So since that rag tile is in the way, we're just going to rag this corner tile and then move to the north side instead. This will be the final hit of this cycle, and then rag the middle. The corner tile also works as well. You can do either or. It just, as long as you rag a tile of some sort every 4th hit, that's what matters most. There you have it. So in this clip, me and my partner started off 5 ticking, but we will end up getting off tick with each other in the middle. So my partner goes 1 tick early there and continues to be 1 tick early. Once you start ragging the front tiles and taking a lot of damage, that's probably your cue to then start moving in a 5.3. So that's exactly what we do here. As you can see, we're not hitting on the same cycle of the scythe, as every attack there are 2 different scythe hits. So this is an example of how you can use a claw scratch to get back in cycle with your partner if you notice that you are on 1 cycle ahead. So right here we get off ticked, and he's attacking 1 tick ahead of me. So I use a claw scratch right here, and then we're on the same cycle again. So basically a claw scratch just keeps you on the current cycle you're. So in Duo 5.3 tick, the mage wants to start off with a scythe hit into a dragon warhammer spec, run back again, warhammer spec, run back. From here, since I only hit 1 warhammer, my partner needs to warhammer spec, and then since she hit, she can then BGS with her second spec. From there, it's just about running back every 4 ticks and touching each tile twice. Coming up on the northeast corner, if you click in between the 2 highlighted squares, it'll path you north. That's what we like to do here. And then since the safe spot is ragged, you can just skip that one and continue along the north side. On the northwest corner, you have to manually path around the corner, as the game won't automatically do it for you. And then here we end up skipping the rag tile. So the southwest corner will also path you around down to the south side. On Verzik P1, in order for 4-3 with a Dawnbringer to be better than a Scythe, you need to have at a minimum an Imbued Heart, an Occult Necklace, and either a Tormented Bracelet or Ancestral Top and Bottom. As the mage, you will want to start the fight with 1 spec and then drop the staff into 3 scythe hits before running behind the pillar. From there, you want to do 1 trident hit and 2 scythes and take the staff that the ranger should have dropped. From there, you want to do a 4 cycle into a 3 cycle using the Dawnbringer and use specs as you get them. After that, you will want to use the Dawnbringer to auto once and then 2 scythe hits and also drop the staff to your partner at the throne in front of Verzik. After that, you will want to do 1 trident hit, take the staff that your partner should drop, and then do 2 more scythe hits. And from there, you will want to do a 4-3 using the Dawnbringer until P1 is finished. As a ranger, you want to do 1 scythe hit, 1 Dawnbringer spec, and 2 more scythe hits before running behind the pillar. On your way to Verzik, you will want to use 1 spec and drop the staff at the throne and do 2 more scythe hits. After that, you will want to do 3 cycles of 1 trident and 2 scythes. On the third cycle, you want to pick up the staff before running behind the pillar again. On your next attack, you'll want to spec going towards Verzik, drop the Dawnbringer at the throne, and do 2 more scythes. Repeat this until P1 is finished, and make sure to pot share a dose of stamina before P2 begins. Before the fight begins, I make sure I use my imbued heart, and then I start with 1 spec, drop it, and then do 3 scythes. I then do 1 trident hit into 2 scythe attacks and pick up the staff from my partner. From here, I go into a 4 cycle. And do a 3 cycle. And then I'll do 1 auto. And then drop the staff to my partner and do 2 scythe hits here. After that, I do a single trident hit into 2 scythes. Pick up the staff from my partner. And from here on out, I will do 4-3 until the end of P1. If need be, I will spec on the second pillar, but you should never get it to the point where both of you need a spec, assuming you're both scything P1. Also, you should notice that my partner pot shared me there before moving to the next pillar. Doesn't really matter where you do it, just somewhere along P1 is fine. For P2 Verzik, it is helpful to count her range attacks. Every 4 range attacks means 1 electric ball will come out. If crab spawn or if a player is kicked by Verzik, this just delays it. I would recommend exploding the crabs manually instead of freezing them, and you should stay within a 3x3 square on your side for the fight. This means not going too far south, too far north, or too far away from your side so that the electric ball doesn't hit somebody for massive damage. Once reds spawn, you will want your ranger to pot share a dose of range pot on the mage side and hit the mage's red crab for 1 hit, and then run back. You should never tally your red crab, as specs are better used for claws going for the skip. If you notice that your null hit on your scythe is going to coincide with Verzik's final hit before she goes into healing, you can opt to go for either a claw scratch or a claw spec if you're close to skipping for the 6th hit, and that'll allow you to get your scythe hit on the 7th attack of Verzik, as well as once she goes into healing also. Your goal for Verzik P2 should be a consistent 4 cycle reds with a potential for a 3 cycle. You will want to use your claws around 10 to 12% depending on how many specs you both have total. So the start of P2, I start counting range attacks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So now this should be an electric ball. Because crab spawn, I know I have 4 more range attacks before an electric. So that's 1, blow up the crab. 2, 3, 4. Here should be an electric ball. Also, you should notice that I'm not moving north of this tile that I'm on right now, or south of Verzik's blue tile. it's very helpful to have this marked, as you know you won't go too far out and potentially divert the electric ball either to your partner or to yourself from your partner. So there's another electric. So here's one. So I have 3 more range attacks. 2, 3, 4, and this should be the electric. Typically, you should only get about 2 crab spawns in a duo, but depending on how slow it is, you may end up getting 3. So I also noticed that crabs for 35% are going to spawn, so I end up brewing up a bit here. Just to make sure I'm healthy. So my partner comes over, scythes my crab once, and pot shares me a range pot. I hit my crab really hard with my 2 hits, so I'm free to go on to Verzik again. And my partner did the same. So this is the second red crab phase here. We both blow pipe. And then switch back to scythe. So Verzik here is under 10%. So we both acknowledge that we can go for the skip. We actually end up getting the 3 down reds. So here, Verzik just came out and she did her first attack, second attack, third attack, fourth attack, but this is my first scythe hit, fifth attack, second scythe hit, so I know I should claw here. So I claw for the 6th attack, I scythe on the 7th attack, and then get another scythe hit as well. So that's how you can use a claw strat. For Verzik P3, there's not too much to it. It's basically similar to other team sizes. The most ideal spot to lure Verzik onto is 2 tiles south of the southern web tile, aka the tile that teams start on. Assuming you don't miss any ticks, this allows your tank to not only get a scythe hit before Verzik starts moving to webs, but also as soon as Verzik starts webs. For the people who aren't tanking, assuming they don't lose any ticks either, they are able to chally right before she starts moving into her web position, as well as get a scythe hit as soon as webs start. I will also be showcasing 2 tiles post webs that you can use when you're tanking. I nicknamed these the loop tiles, as he was the one that showed them to me, and they basically make it so you don't lose any hits and you also don't melee the team. It's only good for 1 hit after webs though. It's very nice to keep Verzik centralized for when the yellow pools come out, as this allows you to be able to get to them no matter where they are. Before NATO spawn, if you know you're about to get webs, you can try to sync up together and then proc the NATOs, or if you're really daring, you can try to sync up even after NATOs come out on webs in order to DPS her faster. If you're low on supplies, you can also have your pot shares share restores between the both of you as well. So here is the start of P3, and I am chosen as the tank. If you are not comfortable tanking or don't know how to do this method, it is included in the MVP guide, so I do highly suggest checking that out if it would benefit you. Both the crabs are on my partner, so I'm free just to keep tanking. So this is a set of webs. The north hit is the final hit of webs, so as soon as we do that, I go over 2 tiles, hit her, and then go to this mark tile, wait a tick, and then attack her. And that way there's no melees on my teammates, and I also don't lose DPS as well. So this is the final hit before the yellow, so I Chally and I try to get her centralized. I also brew up here for the potential green ball on me. So here the green ball is on me, so I just have to be a little bit careful. During the nados, I do also try to keep her a little bit towards the middle, as if you put her in a corner, your partner may end up missing hits, so it's a little annoying. And there you have it. And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps you in your future endeavors when it comes to Duo ToB in getting more consistent completions as well as faster times. I also want to give a huge thank you to Winter Days for creating the graphics on this video, to Boas for providing the range perspective inside the Nylo room, to Hawk, Luke, and Winter for helping me inside these raids and collecting the footage, and to Heem, Oster, Aki, and Demon Butler for providing feedback to me, especially inside the Nylo room. Couldn't have made this guide without you guys, so thank you very much, and see you all next time. Peace.